What's up, dudes? So, as you can see, this image came to my attention yesterday. This monument, Olmec monuments from, of all places, Mexico, La Venta, Tabasco, which is La Venta, Tabasco. Hither, generally at this kind of point here, like here, which is interesting. I don't know if there's any relevance to its location more so than just happenstance. There's a lot of like Quetzalcoatl, what's it? Quetzalcoatl, Kukulkan. These deities of the Mayan and Aztec people, which is who this is supposedly depicting. And I saw this and immediately resonated with me. Okay, so I've talked about in the past the Birdman, the handbags. So this immediately I said, okay, Birdman. So wait, let me pull this up. Birdman, where the head of Sarastra, the plains of Sarastra, have the eye of Gurnar, the eye patch, if you will, of this region from Palatina to Gurnar, with a like eyebrow forehead region of Gir National Forest, like a nostril at Barda Hill, beak around Dwarka, and this region, a shoulder in Kutch, heart of the mantle puncture hole in Pakistan, and then a wing that has a divide this way that then fans out this way, which is really evident in this one. And then this earring, which we can see here. And this one, I'm just being lazy, not moving myself from it. This wing, okay, then I talked about, so like this eye patch here, eye, forehead, like Gur National Forest. I talked about these in 2 episodes, the Birdman and Leg Day. The Birdman's more about here, Leg Day's more about here. And then also the Tibetan Plateau is like this region, which also is like a rattlesnake tail. It has vibrations, which I talk about in my Earth's undercurrents video. So here's I clipped it, or no, not this one. Not this. Took this picture of it. So here in my Earth's Undercurrents video, this picture's from, where I'm talking about how the vibrations are caused here by current interactions, and like a gasket that blows and causes like a pressure buildup that pushes up this way, and then the gasket blows, pressure buildup, gasket blow kind of thing that vibrates and leads to the Tibetan Plateau having vibrational aspects to it, where there's even like circular like impact structures across it in the lakes and how they unify. And then down here I circled them. We'll go to the normal map here for now to kind of look at the Tibetan Plateau. This is what I circled, like here, the structure. We can see the top of one here, and there's kind of a boundary here, and then a boundary kind of here, boundary here. That kind of even comes to a point. Maybe there also, but like coming across from around here to back towards this region where this is, with this vibrations across, which then seemingly even generally connects to it, although it also goes above it, like here, and then goes across this much as well as this much to here, as well as up here to all the way over here, even up to the very tip. And there's all sorts of vibrations here, which are the tail of the Himalayas, of the bird, of the birdman, the tail of the birdman above the Himalayas in the Tibetan plateau. Pardon me. The Himalayas themselves are like the perch that the birdman stands on. Okay. So, things that we now see in this, we see the earring, we see the birdman's head. So we're already like maybe seeing Birdman again, and Quetzalcoatl is kind of Birdman, and Falcon, like that kind of idea is repetitive in across like religious viewpoints or ancestral narratives, whatever. And then the handbag we've come across before. I've talked about that in terms of the Earth's magnetic anomaly map and Australia, how it literally is a handbag itself. So there's both the Birdman and the handbag on the Earth thus far in what we're talking about. So then we see Birdman himself, handbag, and then also rattlesnake tail, which I believe I'm not completely sure if it is accurate, because it may be that I'm misinterpreting exactly, but I basically interpreted this rattlesnake tail to really be exemplified in this region. So like here's the rattlesnake's tail at the foot of the birdman. Birdman, feet going to the perch on here, which is then at the, basically at the tail, even the feet even touching the rattlesnake tail of the snake dragon-headed snake. So it's a dragon-headed snake, and I've talked about dragons in depth in any, you can just search my videos for the title dragon in it, and you'll find several of them talking about this feature and how it forms here, basically from over here up like this, beneath the crust, and then it slid away and revealed what was forming beneath the crust, which was really forming here. At this boundary, the mid-Pacific Mountains of that dragon shape was forming. So there's a dragon forming here that then moves over here, which I talked about in depth in other videos, Baja BC related in times. Certainly maybe I could find the most appropriate videos. These are more KT boundary. Let's just put, oh my god, this is a dragon. The footprints of a dragon. The dragon taking flight. These two. All of them, but those two specifically are related to this structure being physically here. So if we go to my animations, here, this is the dragon. We can kind of see it here. The best of my ability, I was basically trying to put the nose of the dragon right around the Baja BC segment that broke away, Baja California. This segment went up to Baja BC, I believe. That's why I said the Baja BC region. So this was like this, and we can still see it like crossing this, running into here, going up here. We can still see these currents somewhat over here, like up through this way, through here to here, and then up through here. Kind of see it. Maybe to here. Maybe I went to here. I also find it interesting. There's this string. Here's kind of like a circle, a bigger circle centered on Bighorn Mountain, and then but kind of by itself without this segment attached doesn't necessarily have like a circular structure, but with the segment kind of does, which makes me wonder if there was a time that there was like a string of just like nova centers that were just pushing in here. Okay, let's keep going. So we've touched on this, the rattlesnake tail, and then so the dragon. I basically said the mantle puncture hole. This is my interpretation of the dragon itself, the body of the dragon. It comes out of the mantle puncture hole in the region of maybe from the heart of the Birdman comes a dragon that flows this way like a serpent with a dragon head flowing this way, where it then goes beneath an ancient ocean and solidifies a boundary, which I talk about in my Earth's Undercurrents video. Must see, must understand to know what I'm talking about. Okay. Boundaries form, and then because the boundaries form though, then the current that's coming in hits resistance basically, and at some point it ends up going this way. So initially it forms over here and produces like a dragon at its tip, this dragon forming at the very boundary of this stream. So at the head of the serpent a dragon forms. Just gotta kind of, maybe there's also, I don't know if I can find it. If we go to Google Earth, Google Earth, where I can rotate the Earth and look at it from upside down kind of angles. I can't do that on Google Maps. We can kind of see maybe even all of North America. I talked about this before. Has like an eye here, an eye over here, like a nose, brow type thing, nostril, maybe even like breathing fire with like an ear. It's pretty much like North America is like the head of a dragon in a way. So maybe just in that regard, it also matches this. Unclear which way. Some of the times it's like so matching that it does it in multiple ways, which is crazy. And which one's like the way, if any of this is true, of course, is not necessarily clear. See kind of a couple lines going down the middle of this, and then off of that, these lines are only here really, pointing kind of towards this, almost connecting the two, but with a divide. So like this is basically the big neck. So this big neck, but then there's another. If we look close, there's like a top of a dragon head and the bottom of like a mouth that's almost like spewing, spewing some kind of current. Basically, is how I interpret it. So like this thing has a offshoot that then has a mouth. That out that mouth comes out this like column that has these two X features, which I put here. So, and then above the bird head is this square thing that's kind of odd. This other square, which is connected to the two X's, and then this thing that reaches to the rattlesnake tail. So, my thought was, okay, if this is that first current that basically leads into North America, then this is that second current that goes around in North America. So here, down this side, once it fills, the pressure fills in Laurentia, then the current starts to flow down the boundary that formed of this like container due to the cooling magma from the heat exchange with the ocean above, which then leads to this region just blocked. And so then this current comes down this way, like here. Maybe it has like a mouth here, even. Like a negative with a spine feature similar to what we were just looking at, that line down the middle of it. This thing. So similar to that, but over here, having three of them, I wonder if there's... But then, like here, basically, like if we go back to this image, the animation, this animation, the current's flowing this way, but then it physically opens up from a point because it fans out, like another current's coming in this way, and so the two currents collide, and one of them starts to like break apart in two directions and go around the first one, and the first one also like interlocks with it above it. It goes above the above stream of the one that it's dividing here. So there's a current coming in here, Mariana Trench related, that's flowing in this way, but not here because this didn't exist, but just into here. Here's the Mariana Trench, and if we follow it here to the very tip of the Mariana Trench and back, it flows back this way to over here, which flows up from here, which flows over from here. So the Mariana Trench is fed by a current that way, which passes north of the Tibetan Plateau. So it's not really going through it there, although maybe this like switching, it's like initially it goes this way and then it goes more this way at some point. I don't know. When did the Mariana Trench form? Let's just see. 180. Wait. No. Ew. Maybe. So, okay, let's keep going though. So we've got Birdman, this thing, the legs of the Birdman touching the rattlesnake. Although this... It may be because this is just like repetitive that I can apply it in a smaller instance, like the Birdman of India, where this Birdman, I was thinking like it's possible this Birdman, like this is all, let's say this is North America, that then is fed from a spine that is from a Birdman. Maybe, is it, I was thinking, maybe in a like manner to Sarastra looking like a Birdman here. Maybe like this is a Birdman, like here. It's like a beak of Spain, generally speaking. Like an eyeball here, here maybe. Unclear, maybe here. Does this even have the eye patch that looks like a bird? That would be crazy if I could find an eye patch that looks kind of like a bird. Like how Sarastra has this bird beak with a body back here and then a wing up this way. It's upside down right now. So we need an upside down bird related to this eye. Or this eye? I don't know. Just a thought I had. If in that case, then maybe like its head is there, but then its body is North America. I don't know. Okay, let's just keep going with what I was thinking. That aspect with the legs, I have another interpretation of the legs that relates to the handbag that I think is pretty interesting, but it's not quite like the bird legs in technical sense that I point to here. These bird legs. My interpretation is maybe this region has bird legs. Like its heart is the mantle puncture hole. The head is the Saracen head, but then like the arms of the Birdman are sort of like current flows that are complementary to the main current flow, which is the dragon flow. So like that's where this image comes in. The handbag additionally is in one hand near the waterfall flow that runs into the rattlesnake tail, which we'll get to in a second. So there's like a collision of these currents coming in. If we go to the clip, right here, these currents are all coming in like appendages of the body of the Birdman. They are like proximal. Also, he has another arm that's like reaching down, touching the snake at like its southern tip. Maybe if this is, because this is facing left, and if we look at a map of the earth, Birdman is facing west, like this way, which is upside down, of course, but Vegas, I don't know why it's showing me Vegas. Viva! Birdman's facing left, so west, facing west, so maybe he's facing west, although handbag is kind of more here, although it is ultimately to the west. At some point, it's just more, it's a little odd that it would be there, but maybe it makes sense just from that it's depicted in a representative way where like appendages matter. There's certain things where like a current, in order to flow, like this main current has to create like like lay out support structures by other appendage currents of the Birdman that sort of play part in the overall process. So like this arm is holding the handbag, for instance. It's not just like over here, just sitting there, although sometimes it is, but he's holding it. Okay, let's get back to this so we can like really go through the whole of it. My interpretation was if this is the current that goes along the eastern boundary of North America, but ultimately like starts from the dragon body, maybe it starts like near the Birdman's head. Like here. So if we follow these blocks around this current, this first block, which is a little more detailed than this block. This block's pretty basic looking. This one's got some kind of detail going on here. So this first block above the Birdman's head, touching the Birdman's head, perhaps is like the Indian Ocean is what I was thinking. Like it literally represents the Indian Ocean, or the Indian Ocean represents this part in the process of this like universal process that's being described, because it's not just the Earth; it's some understanding that they were like propagating. Probably knowing that the Earth also represented it because it's a universal thing, but not necessarily like talking specifically about the Earth. Unclear. It may just be universal. So like the Indian Ocean here, but then between the Indian Ocean and then if this is the Indian Ocean, then the next ocean is the Atlantic, which is much more basic. Like if we look at the Atlantic, here at the Indian Ocean, it basically has a spreading zone here, but then it has this weird section that kind of is reminiscent of how this has this like empty square region with some like detail over here at the beginning, before the Birdman's head. Maybe even like past the earring. I wonder if that has any relevance. I mean, it's not the worst relevance. Here's the earring right here. Pretty much right there. And then between the Atlantic and the Indian, what occurred to me is, in fact, another ocean known as the Mediterranean Sea, which is a miniature ocean because it is represented here as such. It's basically just a mini ocean. It's connected with the oceans. It's pretty much an ocean, I believe it's represented here and that's what this is. So it goes Birdman's Head, Sarastra, Indian Ocean, Mediterranean, Atlantic, and notably the Atlantic is just spreading. Like we came up with continental drift and so on because the Atlantic is just dupe. Like it just goes back together so easily, whereas the Indian Ocean, like it has inconsistencies. You can't just zip it back up and it's that simple. But the Atlantic, it is that simple, although it requires a smaller globe to actually be able to do it. Besides the point. But it does do that, and it just like physically goes across in a very basic way that this, I believe, represents. And then at the boundary of the Atlantic, where the dragon's breath flows in this current that I've been talking about as being basically along the eastern boundary of North America, going south and then through between North and South America. So as it goes between North and South America is this region. So this is between North America plus South America, and then Europe and Africa, basically, of the Atlantic. But then this here is this other region within the current. So I drew it I drew it kind of like here's an X in the handbag of Australia. Here's a which initially, and then I drew it here down this side, and then generally that way. I know it's a little Let me maybe take a picture of this region and kind of just draw it out again. I don't have my... Okay, I kind of need to. It's hard to draw with a mouse. I just look like a freaking idiot. You want me to... You want me to listen to you when you draw like that? Okay, let me flawlessly draw. It's incredible. It's truly incredible when I... Oh my god, look how straight it is. Okay, so that's that one boundary. Here's that other boundary. Generally there. Now let's just continue this one. Maybe dot 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 over here. This one that way. And then this. Maybe with a like connection back this way too. Which is actually, this is the New Madrid fault line region right there, which is part of the dragon. If we look at where the dragon was, this was under New Madrid. It no longer is supporting New Madrid. That's what's up. And the support structure over here is better, so it's not as bad, but here is just lacking. And it just is faulty because the support structure was taken away with it because the boundary moved. That was like around here. So that part left, but then it was physically conjoined to the little tendrils sticking in, which then are now over there. Okay, let's go back to this. I was thinking maybe here, like if I follow this, maybe it's unclear, and then like across here. So that's kind of an X here. Like there's possibilities. It could be many of these. So basically in gist, I'm thinking here's a current with the spine and maybe an eyeball there or there, depending on which angle, positive, negative. I'm recording.
Oh, okay. I'll talk to you later.
Okay. That's just what happens because no one fucking cares. I have no money. I'm just stuck in... Anyway. Oh, damn it. So here's an X. Let's just say here's an X, generally speaking. Maybe here-ish. Here, I don't know. Maybe there. Like this X. So maybe I'm not sure. Did they have? They're pretty much the same. They even have actually what I just drew. Interesting. I did not mean to. I drew this X, and then I was like, "There's this little block here," so I just drew that block. I'm pretty sure it has a block. This little block between them. It's a little, honestly, a little odd. They don't change sizes if this is happening, and they know about it. Because that's probably systematic that they have a smaller one initially, like by the currents, a smaller like spreading zone happens that is like an X, and then a larger one happens, and then the even larger one that was Australia, which was over here initially, and then it has an X through it that then ultimately at that X even produced a figure eight of a magnetic field, which led to all sorts of interesting things going on with the ammonite type shape and radioactive decay processes and large scale, like nuanced details, all sorts of cool things, but also the handbag. And then this handbag, I drew it already. I'm just going to draw it again now that I can kind of. So we got this. Maybe I'll just copy this. Put that on my Twitter. Pardon me, Randall and Graham. Is just who this should be at least spoken to. Presumably, I mean, pardon me, correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like I do that a lot where I link people who don't listen to me, don't talk to me, don't respond to me, pretend like I don't exist and haven't talked to them, and then ignore people who do talk to me, who I could have actually been like, hey, person who talks to me, I know you're not rich and famous and like a jackpot to talk to. Oh, he's talking to me. I win now. I'm set for life, Joe. Talk to me. Everyone's like, dearest Elon, I love what you did. Oh my god, Elon Musk on Twitter just gets so much, like, begging, I guess. Begging. Attention whoring. Attention whoring. That's what happens on Elon Musk Twitter. People like me aren't getting posts of people trying to get like attention whoring. They're just like, you don't matter. And I mean, if I'm doing the same, like at Elon, then I'm part of that problem because it really doesn't make damn sense. Dude's obviously not able to read all that shit. Like, I know he does occasionally, and people like occasionally he looks at his phone or whatever and like sees things, but he's not capable of reading even a fraction of what the messages he receives. So he just there's no way he does. So to like play the lottery, please notice me. It doesn't really make sense. Same for Randall and Graham, really. They don't fucking pay attention. Sorry, guys, if you're listening, sorry. But feel free to correct me and, have a conversation instead of just disregarding me. Because, what the fuck, dude? This is incredible. This right here is incredible. There's some X's here that lead into the Pacific, so this current then fans out into the Pacific. So like, what does it do? Except for like fitting this. Let's go back. So we've covered this head, this thing, the snake tail, the body of the dragon snake, the dragon head. Not so much a forehead or whatever's going on here. I'm not sure what to make of that, or like explicit. Maybe this is reminiscent of the New Madrid fault line, even the component I was just talking about. But after that, I don't know. Teeth. And it could be also that the head, I've also shown in other places how, maybe I can just pull it up and show you from here. Basically, this here is a snake head that has like a mouth over here going up here with a forehead on like eyebrow type region here, eye at the eye of the world. So like there's that aspect also. It could be that more so than just this dragon. Like it may be that like this whole of it is the head. There's so much going on that like could be. It just shows again though that these are fundamental processes that may or may not be associated intentionally with the earth itself by the making of this, although given the spiritual and religious aspects of it, spiritual aspects of it, whether or not that's religious, and in Mayan, Aztec, whatever, that side of it, it probably is with an awareness to the overall process. So then this flows into the snake tail, which is a little anomalous if I call the snake tail. Like if this is flowing this way, it basically wraps in here into this region especially. So it over to here. So if this is the snake tail, I guess it's pretty close, and we could even go so far as to say the snake tail itself probably does continue through to over here. So it really does reach the snake tail pretty well, because this current for sure kept going. It didn't just like stop here. It certainly caused the mountains to be formed in this instance because of the pressure back here and the nuances of the process here, but it did not just like stop the flow. It like kept going through here, like through this way and this way, depending on which time when it was flowing, also up this way. So essentially it made it out over here in different currents, sort of like a rattlesnake tail that moves around. It has different outlet paths from this point kind of location. So this kind of meets there, which good. So we got that going on. We've got nuances of all of these nuances exist in the currents. I'm not sure I can't tell what's going on in some of the nuances. Like, looks like there's some features there, but I don't know what to make of it because I can't really see it. Like, I don't think it's just another dragon head. It looks almost like an arrow and a lump. I don't know. At this boundary. And maybe it's like the Caribbeans or something that formed in this process there. Like all this region. Maybe. Or like this region broke open. It's just this whole region, maybe. I don't know. Because I can't tell what's going on there. So maybe that region is especially related to whatever this is meant to simplify. It also may be that this is like a dragon inverse. Maybe it is one that starts here and goes up this way. And so they're like pinching it. Which if we look here, this current from here goes this way, this way, this way, up here, and then when it gets here, it goes down, up, up, down, and then it goes up, down, up, and vibrates and splits. And some of the current goes down into here to this boundary, which is closely tied to the Mariana Trench's boundary, interestingly. Like it's related to this, which then flows in here forming like a jaw, and then the lower jaw is like up here going up this way. While this one, like I was saying, like they interlock in a way, and then they spread. Okay, so what else we got here? We got that. We got that. Also, I was thinking like the head is kind of like high. It's close if you're like dimensionally. The back side, maybe he's holding the handbag like in his right arm, which is further in. So if we're like looking down at Earth again, like for under layers, so maybe like an arm reaches to an undercurrent arm reaches specifically from this region where like up here is actually at the surface layer for the Sarastran bird head. So maybe there's something of that nature where like an arm also, we kind of see an arm maybe detectably more so on the surface here. But then the other arm goes below the surface that way. And maybe there's a aspect of it that basically, this is what I'm thinking. It comes in, here's the handbag with a physical top plate up here. But then it grabs onto the handbag like a hand does and has a thumb holding the handbag. So like a thumb. So I basically said maybe this is like kind of like a thumb. And then down here is this is the handle from like this width, and then the bag itself. So maybe this was my thought, is maybe there's like knuckles in here. So the thumb and then like knuckle segments that like naturally got like punctured out. Like here's one, maybe here's one, and maybe here's one. So there's like maybe even 4 knuckles across the handbag, which is what I drew here, generally speaking. Okay. So, I know I should have waited, but I just can't. How do I wait to talk about this, guys? How do I wait? Then the legs and the hand touching the body of the snake dragon headed snake. Probably something to it. I'm not sure. Let's see. To the body. I think that's the body of the snake's tail. Touching on the. So it's like touching. This arm is touching. I'm just like, does this touch something? It's kind of touching the rattlesnake also, but not quite. Like the feet physically come up and abut the rattlesnake portion. Alright, I'll be back later. Peace out.